Good morning, boys and girls. Today is our 7th day of our Grow a Bean experiment. I have got my beans that I took out of my window, and I have my bean log here in front of me. So let's get started. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we are going to carefully take our beans out of the bag that was in the window. Then we're going to open them up and see what has happened in the last 3 days. Oh my goodness, we have some beans. We're going to have to be real careful. It looks like some of these roots are stuck to my paper towel. So be very careful when you open your paper towel up. Oh, look at how much has changed. Each bean has its original taproot, and there's all these little tiny roots that are growing out from under them. And look at this one here. This has the leaf starting to come out of the bean. All right, so you'll also notice, I'm going to take this apart carefully. You'll also notice on this one that this was the seed coat, and the bean is growing out of that seed coat, much like a snake shedding its skin. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to pick one of these beans. I don't care which one, just pick one of your beans. Oh, that has a leaf too. So pick a bean and take the skin, carefully take the skin off the top of your bean. And we're going to look and see what's going on inside this bean. You can see that it's already starting to open up. So let's take this 2 halves apart. Carefully so that you don't break it. And you can see inside, here's what's going on inside. There's the bean food here inside of it that's been growing this bean, or growing these leaves, feeding the leaf all the time it's been in the ground. These are the 2 sides of the bean. They've split open so that this little seedling, or little, I guess it's a seedling, sprout can grow up if it were in the ground. That's pretty interesting, pretty cool, isn't it? Okay. So I'm going to put this back together. And you know what? If your plant broke apart, I'm going to take one of these off. If this comes apart, let's see if the plant's still going to grow if we plant it like this. All right, so I'm going to put this down here. I'll just carefully put this back on top of it. Don't take these seeds off here. We're just going to leave the seed coats on these plants. And now we're going to draw what we saw in one of these beans, how it's changed. So get your log. Go ahead and draw your bean, and you can see the taproot is still here. Just all these little roots are growing out from it. So go ahead and draw your bean. Draw your taproot. And then draw a bunch of little roots off of your taproot like this. Because they're all growing out. They're growing out so they can find some water. Okay, so it should look something like this. Okay, so to grow your plant, to plant this in the ground, we're going to need some containers. I know we've been stuck in our house and we don't have the ability really to go anywhere to buy something. So look around your house for something you can reuse. I have found a can here. I found this was a water bottle. I cut the top off of the water bottle. We had a plastic cup in our cupboard. We had a styrofoam cup in our cupboard. And then this used to be a container that held peanuts. So any kind of a little container that you have, and your mom and dad say you can use, be sure you ask their permission to use it, then that will do to plant your plant. As your plant gets bigger, and maybe we have the ability to go out and get a pot for it, you can replant it later. But for now, these containers I showed you are going to work just fine. So I had some potting soil, and I put some potting soil here. If you don't have potting soil, that's just fine. I just happen to have a bag of it in my garage. And then I took this plastic water bottle, I cut the top off of it, and we took some soil from our backyard to put in there. So you can use soil from your backyard, you can use soil from a garden, you can use potting soil if you happen to have it. And I planted a third one here with just some more soil. I used the plastic cup. I'm gonna plant 3 beans. You don't have to plant 3 beans, but because we have 3 that are growing, I thought it'd be kind of cool to plant all 3 of them. So the first thing you're gonna do is you are going to, let's use this one because you might be able to see better. You're going to put a hole in the middle of your dirt. You want to make sure it's big enough for your plant to lay down in, but you don't want it to be too deep. So put a hole in there. These roots, we're going to lay this down inside here. The roots are going to find their way down to the bottom, but try to make sure that you have enough room to plant him. I'm going to use this little smaller one because I can't really, it's a very narrow thing. So be careful, do not bend it or break it. If it doesn't fit, then make your hole just a little bit bigger for those roots. But don't bend them and break them and try to make them fit in there because the plant is very sensitive and it will break. As I said, these roots that are here, they're going to find their way down to the bottom. The seedling it automatically knows to grow up, and the roots automatically know to grow down. So let's cover this up very carefully with dirt. Being careful not to break your little sprout. Okay, once you've got him covered carefully, I have some roots that are growing up. Oops, there's some dirt that came out. I have some roots that are growing up. Now, I haven't planted with the roots or plant with the roots out, but this will be sort of an experiment. We'll see if they do go down. Remember, this is an experiment, and we're just going to make notes of what happens. If we know that a plant will grow even if you plant the roots up, if we can prove that, then that's just something that we have proven and we have discovered. So here's our plant in the soil from my backyard. Here is a can full of potting soil. We'll also be able to see if potting soil maybe works better than dirt in your yard, or if dirt from your backyard works better than potting soil. Because remember, we are scientists, and we are performing an experiment to see how these beans grow. So again, make sure that this is deep enough that you can get your roots in without damaging your plant. Look at how I just laid that in there. I didn't want to do anything to these roots. The plant is near the top, but that's okay because it's going to grow up to the top. If you need to get some more soil to put on top, go ahead and get more soil from your yard, or I'm going to get some more soil from my bag. So just to be sure that I don't damage that plant. So here's another cup of soil that I'm going to put on top of it. There we go. Put a little bit of soil on top of it. Being careful again, don't crush your little plant. And then this one here is the plant that has, we took the bean apart. So we're going to see if if plants will even grow if the bean has been damaged for some reason. So again, I put a hole in there. I'm going to take put my top on my bean. I'm going to lay it here in the ground. Careful again, I didn't push it because if I pushed it, I could have snapped the top off of it and then covered it up. Again, I don't have enough soil, so I'm going to get a little bit more soil out of my potting bag. I'm going to cover that plant up. It's going to work its way to the sunlight. Let's get that sprout out of there. Okay. Now I have some water here. The things plants need, as we know, are water, sunlight, soil, and space to grow. So we have the soil and the plants in here. We're going to put some water in it. Just put a little bit of water just to make your soil damp. You don't want your soil flooded. Just want enough to make it damp. We're going to put some in here in our backyard dirt. Now I'm noticing as I put this water in here, it's starting to uncover my plant. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some more dirt and fill the dirt on the top of this. Now what I've noticed is, you'll notice the soil, the potting soil, really absorbs that dirt, so there isn't, or the water I mean, so there isn't much water on top of this. The clay soil that's in my backyard doesn't absorb it so easily. So we have a lot of water on top of this. We don't really want to have our plant flooded. So I'm going to take just a little bit of this water. You can pour it off, but I'm going to just pour it over these plants because I'm in the backyard. There we go. Okay. So when I'm going to get some more dirt, I'll put it on top of this plant, and we'll sit and we'll watch these plants and see how they grow. So water your plant when the soil gets dry. You don't want to let it get too dry, so keep it moist, I guess. Keep it moist. Put it in a sunny spot in your house. The sunnier the spot, the quicker that it's going to dry out, so you want to be sure that you're watering it. And let's check back with each other and see how our plants are growing in a few days. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.